Okay, so we'll just be making a start. Give me 1 second. Um, so if you just make yourself comfortable, whether that's sitting, lying down. 1 second, I'll just put my camera on. Mm. Yeah, so we'll be just making a start now. So I'll just be going over a few, just a introduction, basically, to whoever watching on YouTube or whoever's new to meditation. So this event is being live streamed first on YouTube. So just to make you aware of that, however, everybody's cameras and names and everything is not showing on there. And so it'll be like roughly a 45 minute meditation session with some question and answers if you have any at the end of the session. And so if I'm disconnected at any time, then I'll try to connect as soon as possible. If you're disconnected, you can join back into the Zoom meeting. Sometimes I might have to admit you, and if I'm in between the meditation, I might not see it very early. But you can also log on our YouTube page, and the live streams on there as well. I put that YouTube live stream link in the meetup page of this event as well. And so for those who are new to meditation, so meditation is just bringing our attention into our essence, into our source consciousness, meaning normally our attention moves into our identity and into the world, into our thought layer, into our psychological mind. And so now we start to bring our attention back into our very existential self to really discover who we are beyond the psychological mind, beyond our identity, and to recognize that sense of existing or simply just being in the moment here and now. To recognize who you are beyond your name, beyond your form, beyond your identity, beyond the roles you play out in the world. To recognize that very essence of life, that spark of life within oneself, and come to that recognition. And so that is meditation. Different techniques are used to get there. Initially, techniques are used to concentrate the attention on a particular object, say the breath, a candle, or some point in the body, or some sound. That initially helps with the concentration, as normally our attention is scattered and moving to different thoughts and different experiences. So it helps to concentrate the attention. And then from there, you can withdraw the attention and bring it deeper into that recognition of oneself. And so in this online guided meditation, I'll be using three different techniques. So first will be that concentration part of the meditation where we'll be concentrating on the breath at the nostril area. We don't need to change our breathing. It's just about observing and just being aware of the breath as it naturally comes in and out at the nostril area. And then we'll be moving to the um, third eye meditation, just focusing at this point at the third eye, and then feeling as though we're connecting into our inner space and observing our thoughts and experiences within ourselves. And then at the end, we can leave all the techniques and just completely just rest our attention in that state of being or existence, a natural, effortless state of meditation. And so just making yourself comfortable now, whether that's sitting, lying down, preferably sitting, keeping the spine straight, just to help the energy flow upwards, especially when you do the third eye technique to help the energy move up. And just make yourself comfortable. You can use some cushions, some blankets, and just minimize your distractions, maybe putting your phone on silent or, minimize your outer distractions. And so we'll just be making a start. So just closing your eyes now. And as you close your eyes, just bringing your attention to the nostril area. As you close your eyes, bringing your attention to the nostril area. And as you breathe in and out naturally, you can feel a slight sensation of air coming in through the nostril as you inhale. And again, as you exhale, you can feel a sensation of air moving back out the nostril. So just focus at the nostril area, focus your attention there. Gently, not too much focus where you start to feel some tension, just a gentle, alert presence, focus at the nostril area. And just to simply watch, simply as you're just watching, observing the nostril areas. And as you breathe in, you can feel a sensation of air moving in the nostril as you inhale and as you exhale. Initially, as you focus on the breath, you may try to consciously alter the breathing or hold the breathing or lengthen the breathing in some way. However, slowly, just recognizing the breath is naturally coming and going by itself. And you simply remaining a witness, simply remaining an observer of that sensation of air coming in and out the nostril. And as your attention is at the nostril area, you may observe the air, the breath may be flowing predominantly through the left or right nostril, or you may feel it equally in both the nostrils. So just in this moment, with your attention in the nostril area, just feeling where you feel that sensation of air coming in the most. You feel more of that sensation of air in the right nostril, or is it the left nostril? Do you feel it lower down the nostril or high up the nostril or near the upper lip maybe? Where do you feel that sensation of air touching the skin in the inner nostril area? And wherever you feel that sensation the most of the air, just allow your attention to be focused at that space, a gentle focus, a gentle watching, and watching the breath coming in, observing that sensation of air, watching the breath going out. And naturally, your attention will move to different thoughts, maybe different sounds in your environment, or your attention may move to some different sensation in the body, some pleasant or unpleasant sensation in the body, some emotion, some past memory may appear, some future thought may, projection may appear within your inner space. And each time you recognize your attention is not with the breath, when you're caught up in some particular thought or experience, and you recognize your attention is not with the breath at the nostril area, then in that moment, just take a step back and just observe that experience you're having. Observe that particular thought that may be appearing, or emotion, or sensation, or impression from the senses, from the outer senses. Just observe that sensation you're feeling in the moment. Observe that experience in the moment. And just observe any way your sense of identity may be creating a narrative or story around that particular thought or experience. There may be some identification with a particular thought or particular memory or emotion. Just to observe that. And just observe if you're reacting to that experience in any way. If it's an unpleasant experience, maybe you're trying to push it away, or pleasant one you're trying to hold on to, grasp onto. Just be aware of that experience, be aware of how the identity is interacting. Your own self-image is interacting with that experience and creating an inner narrative, an inner chatter within oneself. And just observe that. There's a deeper aspect of oneself which is simply just aware, which is not moved by that inner chatter or the movement of experience. And then gently bring your attention back to the nostril area. Gently bring your attention back to the breath. Again, watching the breath coming in, and out. In and out. And this is the entire process. Each time you recognize your attention is not with the breath, observe where your attention is, observe that experience or thought, emotion, sensation that you may be experiencing in the moment, and observe if there's any part of oneself, part of the identity, which is creating a narrative around that particular experience. Is there part of oneself? Do you feel some sort of reaction within oneself to that particular thought or experience? And just to observe that within oneself, then gently bring your attention back to the nostrils and gently bring your attention back to the breath and simply watching the breath coming in and out, not judging or analyzing or reacting to the breath in any way, just seeing it as it is coming in and out and observing them subtle sensations as you naturally breathe in and out. Each time coming back to the breath, each time observing that sensation of air, allowing your attention to become one pointed, concentrated on the breath, absorb into the breath. And as your attention becomes one pointed and concentrated on the breath, the thoughts start to slow down, the body starts to become calm and tranquil. And you experience a greater space within oneself, a sense of spaciousness, a calmness, deeper silence within oneself, in between the thoughts and experiences which come and go. Then again, your attention may catch on to some thought or experience, and the attention will start moving in that particular thought form, and your sense of identity, psychological mind will start to interact with that particular thought form, creating some narrative around it, again, fueling more thinking and energizing, giving attention to them thought patterns, emotional patterns, them inner narratives. Then when you notice you're not with the breath, notice where your attention is. Become more conscious, bring your conscious awareness to them thought patterns, to them emotional patterns, to the psychological mind, to the inner narrative within oneself. And just observe that. Observe that movement of attention, of thought, of the psychological mind. And there's a deeper awareness within ourselves, which is simply just aware of it. In the same way, we're aware of the breath coming in and out and just watching. In the same way, there's that sense of awareness where you can simply just observe, simply be aware of thoughts and experiences, and be aware of the movement of the psychological mind, which identifies and reacts to that movement of experience. So normally we're stuck in the sense of identity and its beliefs and its perceptions. And so we interact with these thoughts from that level of the psychological mind, from the sense of identity, me, and this is me, and these are my beliefs and emotions and past and future. But now we're coming to a deeper space within ourselves where we sense but we're aware of even the sense of identity. We're aware of the psychological mind and how it interacts with particular thoughts and emotions. And this sense of awareness is ever present, is simply here. And it's unmoved, it's undisturbed by any movement of the mind or emotions. It's unmoved by even sense of identity and its story. And even the sense of identity, another just movement of thought within oneself. And starting to recognize and starting to connect to that deeper dimension within oneself, deeper dimension of awareness, of witnessing consciousness. And then bring your attention back to the breath becoming an anchor to focus your attention back onto, to concentrate your attention. As normally our attention is habitually just moving to each and every thought, each and every experience. Naturally, our attention is allowed to habitually, unconsciously move to each and every thought, each and every emotion, each and every experience, and get caught up and move in them different experiences. But now we're sort of focusing, redirecting our attention just on the breath. And when our attention withdraws deeper on one object, the attention becomes like a magnifying glass. And the movement of attention from looking outer starts to move into the inner space. First by observing the breath, and then by observing the thoughts and emotions and sense of identity itself. And then ultimately the attention merging into that sense of consciousness, existence, the source of oneself. Each time observing where your attention is in the moment. Where is your attention right now? Everything's a part of the meditation, even distraction. Because it is an opportunity to become consciously aware of where your attention is habitually moving to. We can start becoming aware of the different thought patterns, different emotional patterns, different memories of the past or projections of the future our attention is moving to. We start to become aware of the sense of identity itself, the sense of me and the inner chatter, inner narrative within oneself. And then as you observe them, you start to observe, recognize a deeper sense of space or silence in between the thoughts, in between the experiences. And you start to sense a deeper space of peace within oneself. And so now we'll be moving to the next part of the technique. It is a third eye meditation. So if you're just initially just starting learning meditation, you can just stay with the breath for this entire session. If you wish to follow the next instructions, please do so. If at any point you want to come back to the breath, you can do. And so now just bringing your attention to the point in between the eyebrows, bringing your attention to the point in between the eyebrows. And still, as you breathe in, you're still feeling a sensation of air moving up, but start to feel the breath as a flow or movement of energy. As you inhale, you're feeling a movement of energy moving up the nostrils to the point in between the eyebrows. And as you exhale, you're just allowing your attention to rest at the space in between the eyebrows and feeling the energy moving into the center of the brain from this point in between the eyebrows. So initially first, just as you inhale, just feeling the breath as a flow of energy moving up the nostrils to the point in between the eyebrows. As you exhale, just allowing the energy and attention to absorb at the point in between the eyebrows. feeling as though you're looking inwards from this point in between the eyebrows. Inhaling, feeling energy coming in from the surroundings. Also, as you deepen in this practice, you can also feel energy moving from the base of the spine, moving up the energy system to the point in between the eyebrows and also through the nostril to the point in between the eyebrows. So we're feeling as we inhale the energy move up to the point in between the eyebrows, and as you exhale, the energy just settling at this space in between the eyebrows. Maybe some spiraling, or you feel some sensation or expansion and contraction at this point in between the eyebrows. Just allowing your attention to be at that space as you exhale and just feeling that energy move inwards from this point in between the eyebrows into the center of the brain, the pineal gland. Feeling as though you're looking inwards into oneself. Breathing in, feeling energy rising up to the point in between the eyebrows. And breathing out, feeling your attention and energy settle at the point in between the eyebrows, feeling the energy and attention moving inwards as though you're looking within oneself from the point in between the eyebrows into the center of the brain, and then connecting to that dimension of inner space within oneself. So when you feel your attention as sort of absorbed, you feel more of your attention starting to merge at this space in between the eyebrows. Then you can drop following the breath, or you can drop visualizing the breath as a movement of energy, and then just allow your attention just to rest at this space in between the eyebrows. So when you feel ready, just allowing your attention just to rest at this space in between the eyebrows, not having to visualize the breath as a flow of energy, but just watching and just allowing your attention to rest and absorb into the space. This being the third eye, the inner eye, to become aware of the experiences within ourselves, become aware of our inner realities, the different dimensions within exist within ourselves. With our physical eyes, we look out into the world, and with the inner eye, we look into ourselves. Allowing your attention to move inwards from the point in between the eyebrows. Feeling the attention move into the center of the brain. And as you observe inwards through the third eye, just still observing any thought which may appear, or some sound or sense impression, or some sensation in the body, or some emotion, just still observing anything that may appear within oneself, and feeling as though you're looking it from a higher perspective, from the third eye, as though you're looking at that particular thought from a bird's eye view, looking at that thought coming, staying for some time, and then dissolving back into your inner space. Feeling as though you're looking from a higher perspective, a bird's eye view from the third eye, looking at thoughts coming. That thought will arise for some time, and then it'll dissolve back into your inner space. Different sensations in the body may arise, different sounds may come in from your outer senses. Just observing any movement of experience within oneself. observing thoughts, emotions, sensations coming, your attention moving to them, and there may be some movement of the identity which sort of identifies and reacts to them particular thoughts and moves with them, and still looking from the third eye, aware of any sense of identity which are arising, sense of me and my story, being aware of that, not suppressing anything, allowing if it comes to come, and we're just aware, observing from the third eye, observing from the top down at this movement of thought, this movement of experience within ourselves, constantly coming, staying for some time, then dissolving. And as you observe in this way, knowing that thoughts are simply movements of form, movements of energy within ourselves, and the attention is continually moving to these different experiences, to these different movements of form, movements of energy within oneself. Slowly, you start to just see thought, emotion, any experience as just an experience, and each and every experience is temporary, changing in nature, coming and going. No emotion, no thought, even the sense of identity is not permanently there. It comes and arises within one's inner space, stays for some time, and then dissolves back into that inner space. No thought or no emotion is permanently there in the moment. Although certain emotions may be predominantly stuck within one's inner space, and you feel your perception is caught up in that vibration, but it's not permanently there. In its own time, it dissolves and goes back into one's inner space. Only by holding our attention onto particular thoughts and emotions, we give energy to it. And a part of our identity maybe have some sort of identification and be grasping, holding on to certain emotions, thought patterns, beliefs. And that deeper part of oneself, as we aware from the third eye, as we look at them experiences from the third eye, seeing them from a higher perspective, and just seeing them thoughts and projections, them memories, them emotions from a higher perception, and allowing them to dissolve back into one's inner space. And slowly with time, the attention will stop chasing and clinging on to each and every experience, each and every movement of thought or form within oneself. And you'll start to experience a gap in between the thoughts, a gap or space of silence, or presence within, in between them thoughts and experiences, where there's no particular thought, there's no particular experience, there's just a sense of presence, just a sense of silence, or just sense of awareness, being aware, just a sense of just simply existing beyond a thought, beyond a sense of identity, beyond that inner narrative. Even the sense of identity exists as a form of thought of me, this is my past, this is my future projections and desires. And if you really look into the identity, it's just a mix of thought. And there's a part which is of oneself, which is observing that thought, observing that movement of past and future. And so what is that awareness that's aware? Who is it that is aware of even the sense of identity? Who is it that is aware of the past, the future? And just to recognize that here and now, just to bring that attention to that sense of just being aware. And as you look in from the third eye, connecting to that inner dimension of space, and that inner dimension of space is that formless presence within oneself. There's no boundary of that inner space. Only when we're caught up in a particular thought or in the sense of identity is our perception narrows and becomes identified with that identity, sense of identity, with that thought or belief system. But as we recognize that sense of awareness within oneself, that sense of presence, there's no sense of separation, there's no boundary within oneself. There's a freedom, deep freedom within one's own presence. Freedom from the mind, the emotions, the identity. And that freedom exists there, ever present within oneself. That silence, that peace, that greater awareness is ever present within oneself. And this leads us on to the last part of the meditation, is now where, if you wish to, you can stop practicing any technique, whether that's focusing on the breath or focusing at the third eye. If you wish to use the technique, then you can do. If not, you can drop using any technique and just simply sit, just be present here. And simply connect to that sense of just being aware, just connect to that sense of presence, just connect to that sense of simply existing here and now. Before any thought arises, even if thoughts arise, that's okay. Thoughts can come and go, but you're aware of them, thoughts coming and going. And what you are, who you are, is beyond that particular thought or the sense of identity. You're that which is aware, you're that space in which these thoughts come and go, that space in which that sense of identity, past and future, comes and goes. And if you don't grasp onto them and identify with them, they come and go. And then your attention starts to move and abide more in that space of silence, in between the movement of form, back into that formless presence, a sense of existence here and now. So in this moment, if you don't connect to any thought, don't connect to any thought, and just recognize that space of presence, a sense of existence within oneself, a sense of infinite space within oneself, a sense of life within oneself. And so who are you if you don't connect to any thought of who you are? You don't connect to that past, the future, which is just a movement of thought, of memory. If you don't connect to memory, if you don't connect to identity, who are you in this moment? And that's not a question to the mind, but just a question to fall back into that knowing, to fall back into that recognition of who you existentially are at the very core of your being. These other dimensions of you still can exist, the sense of identity and the roles you play in life, but to now focus to find out who the essence of who you are, to find that spark of life, of existence within oneself, to find that thread that runs, that thread of existence which runs through everything, which we're not separate from. And when you recognize that unchanging space of consciousness, awareness, existence within oneself, there's no sense of separation, no sense of me being separate from life. This is my life, or this is the world, and I'm different. You recognize you're that same consciousness that exists within everything and is everything. There's no sense of distinction. Your attention becomes absorbed in that very source of life itself within oneself. Again, the attention then will move into the sense of identity and move into thought. And then that's the next technique where each time your attention goes back into identity and starts to again gets caught up in particular thoughts and the past, the future. When you recognize your attention is caught up in them, you see that experience as it is in the moment, and then you bring your attention back into this unchanging space within oneself, back into the essence of who you are. Then again, your attention moves out, then you again bring it into that space. And you recognize even if the attention is moving into identity, moving into thought, still that very core of oneself is unmoved, is unchanging, is ever present, is always there. The very core of oneself is not affected by the mind, the fluctuations of the mind or emotions, the fluctuations of the identity of the outer world and circumstances. In essence, is the same. And consciously recognizing, consciously awakening that recognition within oneself. While simultaneously also still allowing the attention to move into the identity and the roles it plays in life, seeing that it's just a movement or play within one's inner consciousness, just the acting or playing of life, the expression of life in a particular form, through particular identity, through particular body, through particular experiences, circumstances. But the very core of life is unchanging, undisturbed, is peace, calm, is silence itself. And finding that silence, finding that stillness, that peace in the movement of form. And just a few minutes of silence before we finish this session. Few minutes of silence, just connecting to that space within oneself, and things, thoughts, and experiences may come and go. Just to be observed, just to be aware of them, and then connect back to that silence, that sense of existence or awareness within oneself. Just a few minutes of silence. And slowly now, as we finish the meditation, it's coming back to the breath, watching the breath coming in and out. And as you inhale and exhale, just feeling that sensation of air coming in through the body, feeling the movement of the lungs, the abdomen as you inhale and exhale. As you breathe in and out, just becoming aware of the body and the movement of the breath through the body. And then just becoming aware of the entire body from head to toe, scanning your attention from the top of the head down to the feet, and releasing any excess energy down the feet into the earth, feeling that connection with the earth energy, feeling the earth energies rising up from the feet to the top of the head, supporting you, nurturing you, releasing any excess energy out the system. And then slowly bringing your attention into the external senses, feeling that sense of touch on the skin with your clothing and the temperature in the surroundings, aware of any taste or smell in the mouth, aware of sound, and slowly moving the hands, the feet, becoming aware of the body and the sensations in the body as you gently move the body. And then in your own time, opening your eyes in your own time, opening your eyes, taking your own time, and still feeling that silence, that peace, that calmness within oneself. Thoughts may start to come up, just to be aware of them, while still feeling that background of presence that's always there. And so just coming back to that normal body consciousness, taking some water, some food, some fruit to help ground you if necessary after the session. And so if anybody has any um, questions, you may ask through the chat option on Zoom or the chat option, live chat on YouTube, or you can unmute your mics and ask. I know Gina wants to speak, uh, but if anybody has any questions before that, and then we can take questions from Gina. Yeah.
I'd rather speak privately, Priyesh, without being recorded or on the live stream or anything like that.
Okay, all right. Okay, I can because it's Mother's Day, I've got to go to
That's
some.
why I want to speak to you.
Yeah. What I can do, I can speak for like 10 minutes anyway. What about 10 minutes?
Yes.
So what I'll do, if anybody's any other questions, please do ask, or you can leave it in the chat. And then once I'll end this call basically, and then I can open something else up, another Zoom. Yeah. Oh,
All right. I don't know how we'll do that, but thank you anyway.
yeah. I'll send you the information anyway. Yeah. The login. Yeah. So yeah, if nobody else has got any questions,
Thank
the
you,
next.
Priyesh.
Yeah. Thank you, Melo. You're right.
Yeah, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Enjoyed it. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah. So the next one will be at 2 p.m. next Sunday, British Standard Time. Yeah. So thank you. I'm just gonna end this now, Gina. What I'll do, I'll send you a link on your WhatsApp with the invite and for Zoom, and you just click the thingy, and I'll admit you in. Yeah.
On WhatsApp, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you got my WhatsApp?